Welcome to Film Therapy, the unofficial, unlicensed movie podcast.
If the film says we can say it too. So check the film rating, and that will be our episode rating.
Thank you for listening.
Hello.
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 Hi.
Hi. This is Film Therapy, episode number 59. And today we're going to be talking about two movies I watched a lot growing up. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. How about you, Maddie? Did you watch these a lot as a kid?
I did.
You did?
Yes.
I saw the Johnny Depp one in theaters with a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And that was really fun.
Yeah, I think I saw that in theaters too. It was a good time.
And then the original movie I saw in school in kindergarten because our teacher had some movies on VHS, and after recess we'd come in and watch them. So we saw Willy Wonka, The Cat in the Hat, maybe The Grinch, like the Jim Carrey Grinch, and Shrek, the first Shrek, also.
Man, that teacher, iconic.
That was a really informative film class. Shrek,
Yeah.
The Cat in the Hat, Willy Wonka, like all great movies that I still enjoy today. So
I wonder if that had like a really big impact on your love of film. I'm pretty sure. I bet it did.
holy shit, it did. I realized that like right as you said it, and I'm like, yeah.
Good for that teacher. You should write them a note.
I should. I don't know where they are. Find out. Anyway, I had a few teachers like that actually before film school that showed some films and like a kind of like when you like it's funny that I had like 3 or 4 teachers from elementary to high school, and they all kind of they all would show movies, but all the movies each teacher would show would be kind of like the same genre or the same niche, you know? So so that's kind of cool that kind of worked out that way. And then film school was like a whole different thing.
Yeah. I don't really remember watching any movies in school. I remember this one in middle school. It's not The Hunt for Red October, but I think it was called October Skies because we had to make a rocket for that class, and we watched a movie about October Skies. It was like a movie about a rocket or something.
Is that the one with Tom Cruise?
Let me see.
Or is that Vanilla Sky?
Oh, that's Vanilla Sky. This one is... Oh, this is Jake Gyllenhaal, though.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was this movie. Yeah, October Sky.
So Vanilla Sky, that's Tom Cruise. That's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and Laura Dern.
Yes.
Cute. But other
Laura
than
Dern.
that, like, I don't really remember watching movies other than going to the movies with our class as like some sort of fun event, or during Christmas time we'd watch like a Christmas movie every once in a while. But
yeah, we did that too.
yeah, it's cool you had a teacher that just pulled out random videos and watched them.
Yeah. That is really great because I never thought about how informative that was until you mentioned that. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
And this is so funny because I think it was about a year ago, but some time ago, Emily and I had watched Shrek, and Tuan and I were talking about Shrek, and it was all kind of in the same. Oh, you know why? It was because I was collecting all the Shrek DVDs.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And so because I first saw the movie on VHS and DVD when I was a kid, there's like an additional scene at the end that's on the home video releases. And then I remember talking to Tuan and Emily, and both of them were like, what the hell are you talking about? And then I'm like, because Emily and I watched the first movie, and then I'm like, wait, that's not the end of the movie. Like this is the end, but there's still more. And then she looked at me like, what are you talking about? And then I said to Tuan, I'm like, Tuan, there's more to this movie. And then Tuan's like, Jake, I don't know what you're talking about. I never saw it on VHS. And I'm like, oh damn. Then I ended up, and then I'm like, okay, this is the ending of the movie, you guys. It's all of them singing, and like Lord Farquaad is in the dragon's stomach singing "Staying Alive."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's the true ending.
Yes. And then in the ending of Shrek 2, they have the Simon Cowell shows up, and
Yes.
then they all have a singing competition.
Yes.
And I remember I remember my grandma had the DVD of Shrek 2, and my cousins and I would watch it all the time.
And then you would go to the additional features, and you could play the American Idol version of it.
I think it was even like after the credits or something.
Oh
or maybe
yeah,
like
something like
during.
that. I used to play that too.
Yeah, and but I remember like sometimes when we'd be watching it, like we'd be kind of joking around that like okay, so we all know who Simon Cowell is because we're in that generation. But like imagine like 2 generations from now, or maybe even now, like watching this movie and this random character just shows up in the last like 5 minutes and everyone knows who he is. Like that doesn't make any narrative sense.
Like what? Who's Simon Cowell? Yeah, I'm sure if you asked like an early Gen Zer today, they would not know who that is.
For our Gen Z viewers, if any of you exist, do you know who Simon Cowell is? Please let us know.
Anyway, so Willy Wonka.
Yes, so Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was released in 1971. It stars Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka and Peter Ostrom as Charlie Bucket. And it is based on the book Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, published in 1964 by Roald Dahl. And I actually saw both movies and then read the book all during my younger years, but especially like I didn't read the book for a few years because I just couldn't find it anywhere because
Yeah, I never read the book.
The book is kind of an amalgamation of both movies. So like one chapter and I haven't read the book in a few years, but I remember reading like a chapter and it's like, oh, these are all lines that Gene Wilder would say, and then these are all lines Johnny Depp would say. So like I would read it and I would hear both of their voices in my head while reading it.
Interesting. Yeah. Through my research, I've kind of seen that people say that each movie corresponds to the book, but in different ways.
That is very true, yes.
Yeah. It's unique that they can both relate to it and still be completely different movies. Which I like. I think it is good that even the remake refers back to the the book. So that like the classic of it is not completely lost, you know?
Yes. This is actually a great idea to release this now because there's things about Roald Dahl's books being edited and censored in the news recently, and I'm not sure everything about it because I haven't kept up with it, but I've been hearing that that's something that's been changed, and his books have been altered before, but I think there's something, I don't know what it is, I actually have to look that up, but I wanted to bring that up because I don't know if you'd heard about that or not.
No. So it's a new book by him?
No, he died in the 90s. It's like his previous books are being changed, like the
What were his other big books?
Matilda, James and the Giant Peach, The Witches, the BFG. So like depictions of characters such as being called fat, ugly, crazy, changing boys and girls as people or children, just changing kind of words like that. And the thing with Roald Dahl's books is that they're kind of mean-spirited, but also like that's part of their humor.
Yeah.
Like obviously and it's funny because especially in the book, like the movie Matilda has some mean-spiritedness, but it's all like from a kid's perspective. And then when you're reading the book Matilda, it has that sort of mean-spiritedness, but it's kind of more from the author's perspective. So it doesn't feel Like, it's one
Mm.
of the, actually, while we're on the topic, I think I'd say the Matilda movie is better than the book, just because I think the movie captures the mind of a child a lot better than the book.
Yeah.
But also, I've seen
Okay.
the movie first, so I'm pretty biased. Like, I love the
Mm.
movie very much, and the book's still a good book, but it's not on the same level to me.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, maybe do you think they're doing it because his books are still like widely read? Well, but like classic books don't get well, I guess they do. Classic books can get rewritten in more of like an understandable English language than
Mm-hmm.
they were written in at the time. So, okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense that since people are still reading these books, they're kind of being rewritten to make more sense to the future public or the present public now.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's also like it's like they're trying to make it so it's not as quote unquote derogatory, because some
Yeah.
people could read that and be genuinely offended by it. I haven't read one of his books in a few years, like I said, so I don't really know for sure. But like at the same time, I'm like I don't remember it being too bothersome to me as a kid, but also I was a kid, so.
Yeah, I just know like there's the thing with the Oompa Loompas, like where they originated from. They were more of like an African tribe, and that they were being depicted more as like slaves. So that's one of the things that they changed in the movies.
Yeah, and that was something they changed, like, I think decades ago in the actual
Yeah,
book, like in the
yeah, that
70s
was
or the
changed
80s.
already.
So, like, they're being changed again, you know.
Mm, okay.
Um, and that change, I do think that is a good change, because it's
Yeah.
weird, because I can look at the Willy Wonka movie and it's entirely removed from that. But then, like, when you're reading the book, it does have it's like, yeah, that's good that that's not in there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Also, I found that they changed the name from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like to copy the book, to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory to well, to promote the chocolate bar, the Wonka bar that was going to be released um
Yep.
which ended up being a huge flop. It was like recalled and they barely sold any of that.
Yep.
But then like, the other Wonka candies that we still
Hmm.
have today, like Nerds, Gobstoppers, good stuff. I kind of forgot that those are like Wonka General Mills. Is it General Mills?
I think so.
Quaker. I know that's Quaker Oats was the original people who were doing the Wonka bar.
Hmm.
Um yeah, I kind of forgot that those were like branded as Wonka because it's just like something we're so used to, or I am.
Hmm.
And so then when I saw it pop up, I'm like, "Oh, that's just so weird that like this whole thing started as like an ad campaign kind of."
Yeah, they literally made the movie to sell the chocolate, but then the
Yeah.
chocolate didn't do well, and the movie's like timeless.
Yeah. And even at the time the movie came out, it wasn't like crazy popular, I think because Disney had ruled the children genre back then and nobody
Hmm.
was really seeing anything that wasn't Disney, but
Hmm.
so I think it got more appreciated over time,
Hmm.
which is good cuz I mean, it's great.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those really, like we were saying before. It's one of those really like formative childhood movies where it's like I saw it when I was so young and it was just so magical and everything. And
Mhm.
it's funny that like the movie was made in the 70s, but you can it really is like timeless, and you can
Mhm.
just like I'm just like, yeah, like this is a movie I would show my kids, like, absolutely.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's just great. What's a part that you remembered vividly from watching this as a kid?
Actually, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm ashamed to admit this, but I think it's just me as a kid, just how I was, and kind of maybe, yeah, just how I was as a kid. So I never really understood a lot of the, like, kind of like the cutaway scenes where they were showing like the mayhem of all the Wonka bars being sold and stuff, and all the weird things, like the one guy trying to make the machine to tell for the computer to say, like this is where the golden tickets are, and there's some dude going to therapy, and there's some woman whose husband gets kidnapped, and I'm always like, as a kid, I'm like, I don't understand what any of these scenes are. They're just part of the movie, I guess. So
Yeah.
like, it's like even though I enjoyed the stuff with Charlie and like the songs and stuff, like I really, when I was really little, I'm like, I just want to like watch the movie from when they get to the factory and then just watch the rest of the movie from there.
Yeah, like what is this stuff at the beginning? Doesn't matter, whatever. Skip. I think
Eh.
I literally used to skip forward to when they got there. I know I skipped through Grandpa Joe's song. I hate that song.
Are you kidding? That song's great.
I don't like it.
All the songs are
And
great.
it's so long.
Well, another movie I used to do that with is The Goonies when I was a kid, because I watched that a lot as a kid also. And like there's like the movie when they start to go on the adventure, they go underneath the restaurant. I would always skip to when they go down into the tunnel and watch the rest of the movie, because that's like when the movie gets like really exciting, you know. I mean, now I just watch the whole thing, but
I like the first part more. I think I like the character introductions, and I don't like the adventure. You know this about me. I don't like the Goonies, but and I don't really like action adventure movies either. So that part to me is when it gets boring.
Well, then that would have been great when we were kids, because you would have wanted to watch the part that I didn't like, and I would watch the part that you didn't like.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
That's funny.
It's like it's like new level of friendship. Like we both have. Yeah. So Roald Dahl, I think that's how you say his name. I'm not sure, but he was hired to write the screenplay, and the producers didn't really like what he was doing, so they brought in somebody to write another draft and kind of polish it up. And so the author ended up hating the movie, and he refused the rights for them to make the sequel novel into a movie, which the second book is insane. I wanted, if you haven't read it, I want to tell you the plot of it, because it is insane.
Yeah, was it Charlie in the glass elevator?
Yes, Charlie in the Great Glass Elevator.
Yeah, how does that go? What happens there?
Which, if they had made it into a sequel to this, it would have been called Willy Wonka and the Great Glass Wonka Theater.
Oh yeah, okay.
So the second book starts. So you know the movie ends. They're going to pick up Charlie's family so they can all live in the factory. So the second book starts. They've picked up Charlie's grandparents and his parents, and they're going back to the factory. But then because of the grandparents being like old cranky grandparents, they ended up accidentally messing up the trajectory of where the elevator's going, because they're all in the Great Glass Elevator. Like, they push the bed into the Great Glass Elevator, and they all go up. So, and then they end up getting the trajectory wrong, and they end up in space in orbit. And then they end up having a run-in with Vermicious Canids, and they're being watched by these guys from a space station who end up calling the president. They're like, "Mr. President, there's a UFO out here. It's a giant glass elevator with people floating inside." So then once they deal with the Vermicious Canids, they re-enter the atmosphere and go back down into crash back down into the factory. And then the grandparents are like, "Oh man, we're so old. We can't move. You know, like we're like why?"
I'm sure space was probably good on them, but once they return, I can imagine they would be in a lot of pain.
Yeah, because there's a scene like in space where they're starting to like zero gravity. They're starting to like float out of the bed, you know, and then when they get back down to Earth, they're like, "Man, we're back in bed again." So then Mr. Wonka is like here, here's my new invention. It's a pill. It's gonna make you young. So then they take this pill, and it makes them all young. And then one of the grandmas ends up taking so much that she becomes -2 years old. So Willy Wonka and Charlie go down underneath the factory into like this land of the undead souls or something underneath. And then they spray her with this spray. They come back up to the factory, and she's like 400 years old or something. So they have to do math and give her the right amount of pills to bring her back to normal age. So then they've resolved everything. And then they get a call from the president who says, "Guys, I saw you up in space. You should come dine with us." So then they all head to the White House, and that's how it ends. And the author was writing a third book called Charlie in the White House, but he died before he could finish it.
Really?
So so imagine that's the sequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
What the heck? Well, so I was thinking, I was like, well, after this Wonka movie with Timothee Chalamet coming, maybe they would make that into a movie finally, even though Roald Dahl has passed. So, but like, I can't imagine that doing well.
Yeah, it would be great. Well, there was news that Taika Waititi was going to make an animated series for Netflix that would do the plot of both books, but I don't know if
Oh my
that's still
gosh.
going to happen.
Okay, yeah, I could see it as an animated movie. Yeah.
Yes,
Or
but
series.
can
Yeah.
you imagine it as a 70s live action movie? With Gene Wilder up in space? That would be the best movie ever made.
Oh my god. Gene Wilder in space. Yeah. So, what do you know about the upcoming Wonka movie with Timothy?
Here's what I know. It's from the director of Paddington 1 and 2, and those are two of the greatest films ever conceived, and also give very similar vibes to the original Willy Wonka, where it's just like the ultimate comfort movie that makes you just feels like a warm hug. And with that director and with Timothee Chalamet, those are the two reasons that I am curious to see the movie. Maddie, if you haven't seen Paddington, we need to do an episode on Paddington because it is.
I have not seen Paddington.
Oh my gosh, it's. There's a movie where Nicolas
know.
Cage is watching Paddington 2 and he turns to his friend and he's like, "That's the greatest movie ever," and I'm like, "Yeah, pretty
Yes. Yeah, in the extraordinary weight of what is it? The
Three-
unbearable weight of massive talent.
3,000 years of extraordinary undertaking of massive talent, Extraordinary Gentleman Part 7, the movie.
Yes, that one. And I recently just made the connection that that guy in that was Pedro Pascal, like his frenemy in that movie.
Yep, it's Pedro Pascal.
Oh my gosh.
Best known for
Great.
being in a series where you never see his face.
Yep. Well, now I would argue he's most known for The Last of Us, but you know. Have you started to watch it?
The Last of Us, no, but I've heard it's really good, and I've played some of the game, and I know the stories of both games.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. No, I have not played the games, but oh my gosh, the show is amazing. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, I've heard it's really great, which means I might never watch it because I never watch the current great series. I go and watch other random shit instead.
That's true.
I don't know what. I think it's because I hear something's great and I add it to the watch list in the back of my mind. Except that's a watch list I never get to. Like I still haven't seen Breaking Bad. Or like I tried Game of Thrones and Walking Dead. Neither of them were really my thing.
Oh well, then maybe The Last of Us won't be your thing because it's kind of like a combination of those. Well, no, not really. Actually, I think it's a new. I don't know. It's kind of a new format of a show. So you know, Poker Face on Peacock with
I was just
Leone?
about to say, have you seen Poker Face?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I really want to watch. I don't have Peacock, but I really want to watch it because Rian Johnson is the king.
What does he do again?
He wrote and directed The Last Jedi, and also Knives Out and Glass Onion, and Looper.
Oh, okay. I knew I recognized his name. I was like, I know this guy does stuff.
He's made 3 of the best movies of the past.
Awesome.
Years.
Okay. Well, so the show is kind of like throwback to like cable TV where you have the premise, you have the main character who has this special ability and goes through a whole storyline within each episode, and then each episode starts over again with new characters, but the only same character is the main character. You know, like Supernatural or
like Knives Out, but a TV show.
Oh yeah. Or like
Columbo. Or like
what?
like Columbo or the Incredible Hulk or
I don't know about that.
Oh well, Columbo is like, from what I know, it's like a big part of what inspired Poker Face. And then the Incredible Hulk is David Banner going to different cities, and he's like there's like 2 main actors, and everybody else is different every week.
Oh yes, like yeah, like that. So it's interesting because like it's really good, it's really well made, but then it's like, okay, the same thing happens every episode, you know? So it's kind of like I would never go back and watch all whatever 15 seasons of Supernatural because, or like Charmed, the original Charmed series, or like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I just get overwhelmed by that because I'm like, the same thing happens. But now that I'm watching this show like from the beginning, I don't know, I like it. I think it's really well done. So I don't know, maybe it's just like a modern take on the TV series, like cable TV series. But anyway, so The Last of Us it's almost like that. Like you meet a bunch of new characters like every episode. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we won't spoil The Last of Us. Even though both you and I know spoilers because I've played the game and you've seen the web series.
Yeah, don't tell me any spoilers. You probably know more than I do.
I won't tell you any spoilers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You know me better than that.
Yeah, oh yeah. Okay, so back to like what? Like what?
Back to Willy Wonka. So first of all, this is obviously one of my biggest comfort movies. Like I think there was a week where I was not doing well and I watched this movie like 3 or 4 times in the same week. And why I just admitted that on the podcast, I do not know.
It's fine.
Every song in this movie is great. I was going to ask if you had a favorite song in the movie.
Probably the what's the last one they sing?
The Oompa Loompa song?
No, I think it's the Pure Imagination song that I like the best.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That is good. And it wasn't until like rewatching the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that I remembered how crazy the music was in that one.
Oh god, we'll get to that. Unless you just want to we can just talk about it now.
No, it's okay. We can finish up on Willy Wonka and then go to Charlie. But what's the best song in your mind? What do you like?
All of them.
All of them. See, I hated the Grandpa joke and...
Is it because he's a grandpa and he's singing, like it's his voice, or is it just the song?
No, it's just the song, and it's like too early in the movie. It's like, I don't know who you are, bro. Like, we don't need to hear a whole monologue song.
Look at me. I mean, I wish we could get too into chiming on this because he's good at that. Like imitating Grandpa Joe saying, "Look at me."
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
So niche.
Okay, so at the beginning, when the guy is singing about the Candyman, when I was really little, for some reason I was thinking, oh, this guy's talking about himself, like, because I was like 5 years old. I'm like, oh,
no, I think I thought that too.
Because he gives all the kids the candy, so I'm like, oh, he's the Candyman.
Wait, yeah, honestly, until this moment. That makes sense to me. Like, yeah. He's the Candyman.
So he's singing about Gene Wilder, but I always thought he was singing about himself.
I agree.
Maybe he was singing about Tony Todd.
Oh my god, the Candyman.
Remember that?
Okay, yeah. He was singing about the bad Candyman.
Oh man, that movie's intense.
Now we can connect the two.
Or like in Rocky Horror, when Tim Curry says something about the Candyman. Tim Curry is the Candyman. Man.
He knows about the Candyman.
Yeah, but we say Candyman way too many times, so good thing there's no mirrors around.
Oh no!
But I also always wondered, do all these kids like have a subscription at the Candyman's candy store, because Charlie can't have any candy, but the rest of them just eat like a shit ton of chocolate.
Yeah, what the heck?
And then there's that one like creepy guy that just like has the only thing he cares that he does in the movie is scare Charlie, but he's like, nobody ever goes in and nobody ever comes out. Like is it that weird like janitor guy that like Charlie's outside the factory?
Like, who is that?
It's like he had nothing better to do than to just scare this kid.
Yeah, bro, like, what is your grudge? Are you okay?
Yeah, but I think Pure Imagination is probably my favorite song. But I also really like Cheer Up Charlie, and I like Veruca's song too when she falls down the pit.
Yeah, that's a good song.
So Charlie's family in this movie, his dad has passed on, so it's his mom and his grandparents, and I like they like their house is just it's a house. Sorry, I lost my train of thought because Bingsley came in and started sniffing my food. She's like, "Oh, what's this?
What's this? What's this?"
Yes.
Tim Burton.
More Tim Burton, exactly. But yeah, I just wanted to say that Charlie's family dynamic is interesting because in this one he just has a mom and his grandparents, but then in the Johnny Depp one he has both of his parents as well.
When you were talking about Charlie's family, I was picturing the dad from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as the dad in Willy Wonka, and then you said he doesn't have a dad, and I was like, oh wait, they're all mixing up in my mind.
Well, they are similar movies.
They are.
The actor who played Charlie, Peter Ostrom, this is the only movie he's ever acted in, and he ended up becoming a veterinarian.
What?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Good for him. Like when the movie was done, like he went back home and then he got really into taking care of horses, and then he went and got his degree and then he became a veterinarian. And I'm like, that's a great story. That should be a movie.
Oh my god, I love that. He didn't get like addicted to fame and became a cokehead and
No, because the studio was like, hey, you want to be in more movies? And he's like, no, I just want to go home and spend time with horses.
Kind of like Rick Moranis.
Yeah. Although I do wish Rick Moranis would be in another movie. I really miss seeing him in movies.
I know, he's great. I miss him too.
He's one of the best like comedic actors ever. He's so funny.
He is.
Yeah, so all the random scenes in the first half, that went over my head when I was younger. Like the one guy, that one scene is kind of like a prequel to War Games when the dude is like, "This is the greatest miracle of the machine age," and he's like typing buttons, and it's like the computer's gonna tell me where the golden tickets are, and the computer's like, "I won't tell. That's cheating." I think I sent you a photo of that, and you're like, "Is that the Wizard of Oz?" And I'm like, "No, it's Willy Wonka."
I was like, "Is that the guy who plays the wizard in the Wizard of Oz?" I don't know why I thought that, but because that is definitely not true.
Wouldn't it be funny if that was just Gene Wilder and like they did the Wizard of Oz thing where you see him like in like the real world and then in the factory?
It's kind of similar, like the whole fantasy world of the Chocolate Factory and the Land of Oz, and then the all-seeing wizard of like the Wizard of Oz, and then Willy Wonka, who creates this whole thing, orchestrates the whole thing.
Yeah, he's kind of like a wizard. He's a candy wizard.
Yeah.
So anyway, so then that scene when he says it's the greatest miracle of the machine age. Then when Willy Wonka is showing the kids the giant gum blueberry machine, he says the same thing. He's like, "This is the greatest miracle of the machine age." So I always thought that was kind of funny.
That's funny.
And then there's the line on where the newscaster's like, "Whichever of the 5 continents we're on," and I'm like, what? Which 2 are they not including, and like why? They're set.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So like in like one of the newsreels when they're saying like it's madness. All the stores are out of Wonka bars and they're shipping more to all the 5 continents we live on, but they can't get there quick enough.
What the hell?
Yeah, that's a weird line. One of my favorite visual jokes in a movie ever is the guy, the newscaster, when Augustus gets the ticket and he's standing and there's antlers behind his head and like it looks like he has antlers. Like that's hysterical.
Yes, that's the picture you sent me, right?
Yeah, and I put that on Instagram as a tease for this episode. I'm like, this is our next
Nice.
episode. And then there's also the scene where the woman is searching for her missing husband, and she has a detective, and it's like a 70s gritty drama for about 5 minutes. And then he gets the call for the ransom. And then she's like, whatever they want, I'll give it to them. And then the detective is like, it's your husband's life or all your Wonka bars. Then she's like, how long do I have to think about it? And I'm like, I never got that as a kid, but that's also really funny.
That's so funny.
There's the guy, the fake guy who claims he found the 5th ticket, but he really didn't. He made it up. I remember that sticking with me as a kid, because I remember that just being like kind of a sad thing, because I'm like, man, like somebody lied about it, and Charlie deserves it, and you know,
right.
It's another reason why I wanted to skip over that part of the movie, because I'm just like, man, like all this drama and like the guy's just lying about it. Like,
how much of the movie does that take up? Like these random people?
Oh, probably like 20 minutes, I would say.
Wow.
Because I think the factory stuff starts at like maybe like 40-45 minutes.
Yeah, I
into
think
the
it's
movie.
like 40.
Yeah, it's like the first third of the movie's outside the. Oh wait, can I not add? It's like just under half of the movie.
Wow.
And then I love Charlie's teacher. He's so funny. He's like there's a scene where he's trying to teach his students about percentages. Then he's like, if you ate this many Wonka bars, what percent of the total Wonka bar count would you have eaten? And then Charlie's like, I only opened 2. Then he's like, I can't figure out just 2%. And I just think that's so funny. Also, which I realize I've said that like 4 times. Also, that actor is in the movie Krull, this 80s movie. And when I saw him in that, I'm like, holy shit, that's Charlie's teacher.
Whoa. Niche.
Which I'll talk about later. And then there's the last thing about before the factory stuff is Slugworth always going around and whispering to all the kids. And the part when he's talking to Charlie and trying to coerce him into giving him the gobstopper recipe, he's like, he's like, the everlasting gobstopper, and his eyes get like really big, and Ella and I would just like we always like quote that all the time, and we always like make fun of that just because it's like we made a meme out of it. Like the shot where his eyes get really big. So Gene Wilder, Gene Wilder is one of the greatest actors of all time. Just from this movie alone, but after seeing him in other movies as I've gotten older, I just love seeing him in every movie. It just puts the biggest smile on my face just because I'm like, it's Gene Wilder.
Right, like I think like part of the reason why I love him is he looks like my uncle a little bit.
That's awesome.
Like Jewish, big blue eyes. But so I like find comfort in him, but I also think like that's part of this movie too, like just loving this movie and feeling like a genuine connection to him.
Yeah.
Also, I realized that my community band director looks like him as well. I just realized that, like, watching this again.
I love that.
And I was like, yeah, he reminds me of someone, but I can't, like, put my finger on it. But now it's, Gene Wilder.
Mm-hmm. Like, this movie just feels like a warm hug, and a big part of that is because, like, there's the magic of the factory and everything, but just Gene Wilder is just such like a wonderful, warm presence, even when he's being, like, batshit insane. Like, he's still just the best.
Yeah.
In terms of feeling comforting, like obviously when Gene Wilder goes for it, it's incredible. But like, even when he's doing that, he still feels like, okay, this is somebody you can trust. Like, this is like a safe area, and everything's gonna be fine. The famous boat ride scene, never scared me as a kid. I always thought it was really cool, and then I didn't find out until later that a lot of kids growing up were scared by that. Did that ever affect you?
I think I remember skipping that part like when I had friends over because it was, quote, frightening I'm not sure if I personally felt disturbed by it. I know now I would like that's my favorite part.
Yes, yes.
But I think I was a little disturbed by that as a kid. I think I remember fast forwarding it, but it makes me wonder, like, did that shape who I am now? Like, I love crazy stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah. That I wonder that too. Because like Temple of Doom also never scared me as a kid, but like now when I watch it as an adult, I'm like, this is some horrifying shit, man. But like in a cool way, like it's cool, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that I think the reason why that scene never bothered me was because in that scene, everyone who's scared is like the mean kids, and then like their parents. Like Charlie and Grandpa Joe are just vibing, and Willy Wonka's just scaring the shit out of everybody, and the Oompa Loompas are just rowing the boat. So I'm like, all the characters that I'm rooting for are like they're all just fine. So like I don't have to be afraid. Whereas in the scene with like all the bubbles and stuff, where Charlie and Grandpa Joe almost get caught up by that fan, that scene gave me so much anxiety. I always had to skip it as a kid. And even now, I'm like, I don't really like watching that part.
Like if Charlie says it's okay, then it's okay.
Exactly.
But if it's scary to Charlie, it's scary to us.
Exactly, and that's how I always felt. When I was younger, was because I'm like he's like you see the movie through his eyes, you know, and like he's the one you root for. So, I guess that's why that scene on the boat never really bothered me, because the whole time he's just kind of like hey, I guess this is kind of strange, but it's fun, and like it's kind of kooky, but it'll be fine.
Yeah.
When we first see Willy Wonka and Gene Wilder comes out with the cane and then he does the somersault, that's like really iconic. He I don't know if you know this, but he only agreed to do the role in the movie if he was allowed to do that, because he didn't want the audience to ever know if his character was lying or telling the truth. So there'd always be that like air of mystery about it.
Yes, it like gave them always a sense of like he's unpredictable. You don't know what he's thinking, like what he's actually saying is true or not.
Mm-hmm. I just think that's so cool that like he was just like, no, I'm just gonna, if you guys don't let me do this, I'm not gonna do the movie. And I'm so glad they did, because this movie wouldn't be the same without him in it. So.
Yeah, there's a reason they ran after him after his audition, to be like, yes, you have it, come now.
Yeah, exactly.
And those reactions when he did the limp and the somersault were genuine.
Yep.
When all the children first see the inside of the factory, that's genuine. When Willy Wonka explodes at the end and does his whole crazy monologue, Charlie and Grandpa Joe's reactions, that was genuine.
Yeah.
It's just crazy the stuff they pulled unexpectedly.
It's like it's like I think they even like he was like calm when they rehearsed the scene, but then when they filmed it, he just went ballistic, and I'm like, yes.
And that's actually like kind of a traumatic scene. It's like, oh my god, dude, like what?
It is. Like that,
I feel so bad for Charlie, like.
Yeah.
But then it all comes back and like makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And he's like apologetic, and then like he explains like what was going on, and like it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I also love everything being cut in half in that room. That's such a cool design.
What do you think of that? Like,
I love it.
Like, what does that mean?
It just means that they had the production design of a normal office, but then they were like, wait, after all the crazy shit we've seen, we can't have Wonka's office just be a normal office. So we're gonna have everything cut in half. I'm serious. That's the real reason why it's that way.
Really?
Yeah.
It's nothing deeper, like, oh, we see this one side of Wonka. Actually.
Yeah, keep going. Make something deep out of it.
First of all, he's been a recluse for how many years, ever since he's been owner of the chocolate factory. Then he comes out and says, everyone's going to win, or 5 people are going to win the chance to enter the chocolate factory. One of them will be the apprentice, the owner of the chocolate factory after me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of like he didn't exist and then now he's here. So it's kind of like he's not here, now he's here. The half face, the half lamp, whatever.
That's deep.
Or,
I love it.
but then it's like, also, he portrays himself as like this, yeah, kind of like a wizard, honestly, throughout the whole tour and everything. And then he blows up and he's like super real with Charlie. So it's like he puts on half a mask and then the other half is like his real person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That's great. I love that. I love that. I love that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I guess we'll get into this also with the Johnny Depp one. But in this movie, what do you think of the other 4 kids? And an extension, if you want to, their parents.
Augustus, Veruca, Violet, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. I think Mike, like, his mom is super enabling.
Yes.
She's like, doesn't she, like, she lets him do whatever he wants.
Yes. And Veruca's dad too, but it's more like an opposite power dynamic.
Yeah. It's like Veruca, it's not her fault. Like, she sees the way that her dad lives, and then she's like, well, I deserve that too, and I'm gonna be like this, and I can get whatever I want if I do this and this. So, you know, she's gonna do that. Violet, I think, is weird. She's just weird. I understand her character more in the Johnny Depp version.
Yes, I do too.
And Augustus is, I feel sorry for him because, I mean, I read in my research that he barely knew English in the first place, and that, like, kind of set him apart from the other kids and didn't, like, help him make any relationships or anything, so I feel bad for him. And then he's the first to go, so it's...
Like, he doesn't get a lot of screen time with all of that.
Yeah, you don't really have a lot of time to attach to him.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I think all of that is very good. I think Augustus is much worse of a kid in the Johnny Depp one because in this one his only flaw is that he likes eating a lot, and that's really not a horrible thing. He's not like super snarky or super impolite or anything. He's just, you know, he just eats a lot. And he's from Germany. And that's his character.
Which is where it takes place and where it's filmed, and
yes, they filmed it in Germany so it could be timeless, and they succeeded.
Yeah, like, legit. It's such a cute town. They fly over, I guess it's part of Munich, but all the rooftops are the same, you know.
Yeah,
it just looks great. It's perfect.
I love
it's
that.
Perfect.
It's kind of like storybook-esque, you know.
Yeah.
Veruca is please for the love of God, do not make a Veruca solo spin-off. But I am interested.
I would be here for that.
Right, but they should have made that in like the 70s or like the early 2000s, so they can use I guess
you know what? I'm gonna write the script. Here we go.
Please do, because I do think there might be something there. Like in some ways, like, she's the worst of all of them, but then in other ways, it's like you kind of really do understand why, like you said, like why she is the way she is.
She's kind of my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. And she's also the only one that, like, gets a song other than Charlie, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, Augustus and Violet and Mike don't get songs, but Charlie does and Veruca does. I think that means something.
Do the Oompa Loompas sing after Veruca goes?
Yes.
So the Oompa Loompas sing no matter what.
Yep. Yeah. And then Violet's really strange. I like you said, I like her a lot more in the Johnny Depp one. Like, I feel like I get more of her character, because in this one she's just bratty and chews gum. It's like she's like a light version of Veruca who chews gum.
Plus, like, Anna Sophia Robb.
Yes, absolutely. And like, obviously no shade to this actress, but you know, but yes, and and then Mike TV is funny, but I think he's like unintentionally funny. Like the things he says, I just find hysterical. Like he's like when when the cameras are on him, he's like, hey everybody, hi, hi James, hi Billy, hi Fishface. And then so the actor who plays Mike, his name is Paris, and the actress who plays Mike's mom is named Dodo. So you can imagine my younger, immature self and my sister also just thinking that was like the funniest thing, because like who names their child Dodo?
Yeah, what?
So I don't know exactly what, but there's some moments where Mike's mom will say things, and then Elle and I would just be like, oh yeah, that's just Dodo just saying something or whatever. I don't know. It's one of those inside jokes that like is funnier when you're a kid just because of how absurd it is.
That's funny that you like actually knew the actress's name when you were a kid.
Well, it was in the cast at the end of the movie. I read that shit. One thing I never realized until today was Mr. Salt, Veruca's dad. He has a nut business, and his last name is Mr. Salt. So I just think that's funny.
That he's had enough business?
He has a nut business, like peanuts, cashews, walnuts.
Oh, a nut business.
And his name is Mr. Salt. Like that's funny that they're both. That's a food pun.
Food pun.
And also, my favorite Mr. Salt is the shaker. So, of all the Mr. Salts, because there's
from Blue's Clues.
Yes. Because there's this Mr. Salt, there's the Johnny Depp, Tim Burton Mr. Salt, and then there's Mr. Salt, who is married to Mrs. Pepper. Yeah. So one thing that's interesting is in both movies, sometimes the parent combos are a little different. Like in this one, it's Mike's mom, and the new one, in the Johnny Depp one, it's Mike's dad, and then but then like in the book, the other four kids bring both their mom and dad.
Oh, really?
So Charlie still just brings Grandpa Joe, but everybody else brings their mom and their dad.
Okay.
I also put, never sign a contract that you can't read all of it. Because, it just goes down into, super small print and they can't even read it.
Yeah.
When he's opening up the chocolate room and he plays the little piano combination, and Dodo calls it whatever she says, and then but she's wrong because it's Mozart. She's like, oh, it's Rachmaninoff. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Classical music heads will appreciate that we got the right answer. Oh yeah, and then when they're in the inventing room, and Willy Wonka just puts the shoes in the cauldron, and he's like, oh, it gives it a little kick.
Ha ha! Puns.
Puns are great. Yeah, I just I seriously just love every room in this factory, and just all the inventions are so cool, and even though it was somehow made in the 70s, it really doesn't feel that way because they're all so zany and everything.
Yeah.
The gobstoppers in the Johnny Depp movie, those are more like what the real life ones look like, except they're a lot bigger. And then in this one, they have this kind of cool, freaky, nerds hard candy type design.
They look like this little toy that we used to have that you would pull the string on, and then it would vibrate and bounce around on all of its different spikes.
Yeah.
Did you ever have one of those? I don't know. I think it was like a baby toy. But I like the shape of the OG gobstoppers. I think it's unique. I think it is fun.
Yes.
I would buy it.
I would too.
Rather than just the circle.
Right. A circle's cool, a perfect circle. After the kids all disappear, we don't ever see them again in this one like we do in the Johnny Depp one. And that's something that
we're just like, did they die?
Yeah, that always stuck with me, that kind of unresolved feeling.
Yeah.
Which is where your Veruca script can begin.
Yes. Good. Yes. The Veruca after the Wonka. Veruca after Wonka is what it's called.
Yes. Beautiful. Oh, I would read it.
And then so like what happens? But then at least it's kind of like a closure with the kids in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, when we see them all come out after they're all messed up and everything. But it's like at least they got out, you know.
Yep, at least they got out. At least they're fine. Because like Veruca falls into the incinerator, then her dad goes after her, and then we never see them again. Yeah,
like. What? Are they okay? I don't think so.
And then
who knows?
Yeah, who knows? And then Mike TV's just small forever. He's the first person to be sent by television. Stop! Don't come back. I just love how deadpan that is. It's so funny.
I know, his sarcasm is great.
like
somebody call the police. Police, help! Somebody.
And then like Mike shouts something at him one time, and then he's like, "I'm a little deaf in my right ear. Speak a little louder next time."
Oh, and that and goes into the Johnny Depp one where he's like, "Mumbler," which I always quote because I'm a mumbler.
The Johnny Depp one I always quote is, "The best kind of prize is a surprise."
So weird. Do you want to go into that one now?
I do. I just had one more thing that when Emily and I were watching the original, one thing that we were theorizing about was like, do you think because they reveal at the end that Slugworth wasn't Slugworth, it was a guy working for Willy Wonka, like a secret agent, like Cody Banks or something. And so we were like, do you think Slugworth becomes like Alfred, like he becomes like Charlie's butler? And then he becomes like his secret mentor or something.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah, that should also be a part of your story. It should be that Slugworth becomes like Charlie's like he becomes his like uncle or something.
Yeah, because he knows the business, he knows what's going on, and then Charlie just inherits it, and Slugworth is there to advise him.
Yes.
And kind of be like the rock of the company.
Yeah, it's like Bruce Wayne and Alfred.
So, yeah, I wonder if Charlie would challenge him on everything and be like, "No, I'm going to do it my way." Or if Slugworth would be like, "Well, traditionally, this is how it's done." And then what would happen? Yeah,
you should include that in your story. Even though it's a Veruca-centered story, that could also be the other storyline. You could just follow all the kids, but it's just called Veruca after Wonka anyway.
Yeah. Or it could just be called After Wonka.
Yes, that sounds great. I actually want to read this. So if you ever decide to make this a thing, I will read it.
Okay, great. Yay!
Okay, so that is the original Willy Wonka. It is one of the greatest films ever. It is one of the it is like the pinnacle of, somehow it's the pinnacle of childhood for like you and I, even though it's like a much older movie, and that's really cool that it still has held the test of time that long.
Yeah.
And then the Johnny Depp one actually did come out when we were children, so.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
So Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was released in 2005, directed by Tim Burton. Oh, and the 1971 version was directed by Mel Stewart. I don't know if I said that or not. But the Tim Burton film stars Johnny Depp as Willy Wonka and Freddie Highmore as Charlie, along with some other Tim Burton regulars like Helena Bonham Carter. I saw that one in theaters with a friend of mine at the time. And I remember that's one of the early theater experiences that I remember. Not the movie, but like the journey to the theater, I remember it pretty vividly, even though nothing significant happened.
Okay.
So like I remember like the things me and my friend talked about like in the car and stuff, like we were just like talking about like the other random things. I remember that really vividly for some reason. Might have been the first time I went to a movie with a friend. That's probably why I remember it. But then that friend ended up moving away in a couple of years, and I was sad.
Aww.
Yeah, so there was that. And when the movie came out, they actually had Wonka chocolate bars in stores, and I got to try one. And
Like actual ones that weren't recalled.
yes, actual ones that were. They got it right this time.
They got it right.
And it was really good. I think it kind of tasted like a Crunch bar. It's like one of the best candy bars I've ever had.
Ooh,
And I've only had one. I wish they still made those. I don't know why they don't.
Wait, they don't make Wonka or Crunch?
Wonka bars. They don't make those anymore. But I think I tried. I think I was at my aunt and uncle's house one time, and we went to Blockbuster, and my uncle and I went to Blockbuster, and I got a Wonka bar, and because I remember thinking, oh, this is great, I'm gonna try this, and I also think this might have been a different time, but it might have been the same time. I also have another vivid memory of early cinema. So my uncle and I, when I went to go stay with him, it was like I always go and stay with him some weekends when I was younger, and there was a Blockbuster close by, so we would go there and rent movies. And they had a couple of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. They had like the first one and the third one, I think, or something at one Blockbuster. And I'm like, oh, Superman, this looks cool. And then so we rented those, and I'm like, well, we can't watch 3 without 2. So then we asked the guy at the Blockbuster, do you have the second one? And he's like, well, the Blockbuster about 5 miles that way has it. So we went to the other Blockbuster, and they had Superman 2 and 4. So then we got them all rented, and I got my chocolate, and then we watched 1 and 2 that night, and I got to stay up late, and that's always fun when you're a kid. And then the next morning, watched the third and the fourth one. And I just remember that so vividly because that's another 70s movie that has always, the first Superman especially, that's another 70s movie that's always like stuck with me and kind of gives me the same feelings that the 70s Willy Wonka does, where it's just like one of those movies that just feels so pure and wholesome and just has that like inner child kind of feel every time I watch it, you know?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share that little anecdote because I don't know if I've ever told that story on the podcast, but that was pretty influential for me.
That's great.
And granted, if we ever talk about the Superman movies, I will retell that story. Anyway, so with the Johnny Depp movie, I saw that around the same time when I was younger, and I had the Game Boy game. I remember it being really like not super difficult, but there was like a certain level or two that I couldn't get past. So now I want to get it again as an adult and try to beat it.
Yes.
I also had the Spy Kids 3 game, and I remember that game just being really weird and kind of like really strange because like it kind of followed the movie, but it was like it was a weird game.
Yeah, like Spy Kids 3D is kind of like a video game in itself, so
watching the movie is like playing a video game.
Was it similar to that, or was it kind of different?
Well, it's like they had the first level of the Game Boy game was like when Junie first goes into the game, and it's like he's on like all the green like ground, and like he meets the other guys. Yeah. And then level 2 was like the giant like mecha suits, and he's walking around town, and you punch other mechas. Right. But I remember just like the enemies in the game being these weird like creature looking things, and like you had to fight this like spiky turtle, and that really like messed with my brain when I was young because I'm like, what is this? So like I know so that one I never beat, but that was because I was more like spooked out by it rather than it was difficult.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think the Try the Chocolate Factory game, like every level was a room. So level 1 was the chocolate room, and level 2 was like one of the levels was the inventing room. And actually, I think the first level you played as Charlie, and you had to like catch the golden ticket, and then you went into the factory.
Okay.
And then I went to a friend's house, and they had the game on PS2 or Xbox or something. And it blew my mind because I'm like, wait, you're running around in it's like the same level, but you're running around in like open space, and it's got like graphics and stuff. Like, what is this?
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah. So that's that tangent as well about the Game Boy game. Thank you for listening.
Yes, Game Boy.
So what are your thoughts on this movie, Maddie? Do you have anything specific you'd like to share? Yes, Charlie. Not Charlie and
I
Lola,
like-
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I like the backstory that we get with Charlie's father in the factory.
Mm-hmm.
Working in the toothpaste factory. That has stuck with me. That's like the most, I don't know, just like him putting the caps on the toothpaste and then being replaced by a robot. I feel like that is very relevant.
It is.
These days.
Yeah.
And like even back then. Kind of like the evilness of Wonka's father.
Christopher Lee.
Being like the psychotic dentist who's like, you cannot have any candy. That makes more sense to me as to why Wonka became who he was.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering like what they will do with the Timothee movie, like what his backstory really will be about that sort of thing. I know the movie's going to be like about him going to Oompa Loompa Land and about finding the Oompa Loompas, which I think will be also weird and interesting and hopefully not racist.
Yes, let's hope so.
What else? Good morning, sunshine. The earth says hello has always been a part of my speech.
Yes, I wrote that down too. I love that so much.
Oh, no. Good morning, starshine, right?
The
Starshine.
earth says hello.
The earth says hello. Oh, and then the terrible Willy Wonka song that gets played like it's a small world. Willy Wonka, Willy Wonka.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of like in Shrek.
Yeah.
The Farquaad land.
And Donkey's like, let's do that again. And they get their photo taken.
Yes.
We gotta talk about Shrek sometime.
Yeah, we do. We really do.
But we have to have Emily on for that because she doesn't. She's notorious for not joking about Shrek.
Not joking.
that was like one of the first things. Like when we first met, that was like one of the things that she told me was like, I don't joke about Shrek, okay? And I'm like, okay. And
amazing.
Well, I mean, if I hadn't already known, then that would have been the moment that I knew. So.
Yes. I don't joke about Shrek.
I have that in my saved quotes.
I love that.
Yeah, it's very integral. I do really like the visual aesthetic of this movie. I like how Troy's house is kind of dilapidated, and I like how like all the snow and then like how I think inside the factory, like especially the chocolate room, like looks pretty good. The inventing room looks a little strange. I think I like it better in the original movie.
Yeah.
The TV room's about the same, and I like the elevator being made like having the gold design in the original, even though we see it less. But obviously, this was closer to the book, so.
Yeah. And the whole Veruca scene was closer to the book in this movie, right?
Because in the book it's squirrels, and then the original it's geese. Because they didn't have CGI to make a bunch of squirrels.
Yeah, they couldn't do whatever that was back in the 70s. So.
No. Do you know that Grandpa Joe is the butler from Cody Banks 2? Do you remember the?
Oh my god! Yes. Now, oh my god, I see it. I know what you mean.
He's like the one that like rings the gong and stuff like that. And he carries
yes,
luggage
like with one blind eye or something.
Yeah, yep, that's Grandpa Joe.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I love the moment when Grandpa Joe sees the golden ticket and literally like leaps out of bed. Like it feels a lot more like even though I feel like the original movie is more magical, that's like a legitimate magic moment in the movie, and it feels like that's like out of a storybook, because in the original it's like Grandpa Joe just gets out of bed. Okay.
He just gets out of bed casually, and everyone's like, "Well, what the Grandpa Joe? Like, why haven't you like gotten a job?"
Right, that's why I like it better in this version, because he literally jumps out of bed and does this adorable dance and like it's so great. And then there's this is also from the book, but there's the Indian prince that wants his palace made out of chocolate, and then it melts.
Oh, yeah, so that was in the book. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that was an interesting backstory.
Interesting.
But I like it. I like it a lot.
I do too. It's like a weird little like it's like a mythical, like when you have like a mythical legend. It's like, oh, one time he did this, and this is an adventure he went on. Like, it feels like that could be a whole other movie, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
When they go to the past and it's like the history of Wonka's factory versus the present when they're cutting back and forth between where all the kids live, they use different fonts, which I just noticed this time watching it.
Oh.
So like they'll be like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and then it'll be in one font. And then they'll be like, oh, Mike TV is in Denver, and then it'll be a different font.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Two things I thought that were kind of adorable was when Charlie is sitting in the middle of his grandparents' bed, and all four of them are like around him.
Yeah.
And then when the not Grandpa Joe, but the other Grandpa George starts like swearing, and then the dad covers Charlie's ears.
Yeah, that's cute.
Um,
Freddie Highmore is great. I love him.
yes, he is.
He was in all the hits when we were kids.
He was in this. He was in Spiderwick Chronicles. He was in he was in The Golden Compass. He was in Finding Neverland. He was in Arthur and the Invisibles. I almost said I was like, he's not in the Ant Bully. He's in Arthur and the Invisibles, and obviously he's been in like Bates Motel. He's in August Rush.
Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one. I love that movie.
I have not seen it.
Oh, I love that movie. You would love it too. You would.
Yeah, I gotta watch that.
He's been in like, I don't know. I felt like he was in everything when I was a kid. Like, but I guess it was just like
Well, maybe he was on TV shows too, like when he was
Spiderwick,
younger.
August Rush, and Charlie.
He
Finding
also-
Neverland. Did you see that?
No, but I want to see that.
I think I've seen that.
Well, yeah, he's in the movie Five Children and It. He's in yeah, and then he's also in Astro Boy, and then he was in Bates Motel and Good Doctor, and so now he's in TV. Good for him.
We were just talking about him the other night at work. We're like, Freddie Highmore, he's still doing the Good Doctor show. And we were like, have you seen that? They were like, no. And they were like, have you seen that? I was like, no. But I like Freddie Highmore. I don't know.
I've seen the pilot of The Good Doctor.
Yeah. It has 110 episodes.
No way.
That's too many. That's too many for me. I can't do it.
How many episodes does Game of Thrones have?
Not that many.
Let's see. I'm gonna
only like 80.
Game of Thrones, it has 73, but they're all like what, like an hour and a half, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so something about this movie that I actually find really interesting is that for years I had no idea about this. There's one scene where Charlie's standing in front of the factory, and these two posh gentlemen walk by, and they're like, "Did you hear that someone found the last golden ticket?" And then Charlie finds the money, and then in the very next scene, the shopkeeper is like, it's like they throw down a newspaper that's like, "Fifth ticket is fake." And for years, I never knew that they brought that plot point in from the original into this one. And because it goes by in one scene, so I'm like, what's the point of it? That's way too quick.
Yeah, because it was a whole thing in the first one. Like, there was a fifth golden ticket, but it's counterfeit. Like, yeah,
right. That's like a whole like 5-10 minutes in the original one. And then this one, it's literally like the scene after they bring that up. It's like, oh yeah, like it's fake. It's like that doesn't do anything for the story or for Charlie because it's one scene.
Yeah.
And
it just cuts down on runtime, I guess.
Yeah, or you could just take that out entirely, which I thought they did for many years until I like watched it with subtitles, and I'm like, oh.
Subtitles tell all.
They do. They
I love subtitles.
The subtitles for this said like Augustus's screaming fades in and out as he circles in the chocolate. It was like, that's a little too descriptive, thank you. The Willy Wonka song and the puppets burning. In The Sound of Music, there's the sequence where they're doing the puppet show. And I don't mind the song. The song's pretty good, but I don't really like the puppets. They're a little bit creepy. And then in this version, the puppets just like burn to death, and they go to the hospital. and on top of that, the song is like an obnoxious earworm. It just gets in your head and never leaves. But all the characters' reactions to it are amazing because they're just as befuddled as the audience.
Yes.
Also, Johnny Depp, Willy Wonka, he doesn't even pretend to care about the kids at all. The only one he calls by name is Charlie, and I think the idea, he
just gives them all derogatory nicknames.
Yeah, he's like, hey little one, hey young child, don't do this, don't do that. Like Gene Wilder is like Augustus, don't fall in the chocolate, like Violet, spit out your gum.
Yeah, he at least tells them by name before he scolds them.
Like in this movie, I think it's Augustus that says don't you want to know what our names are? And then Willy Wonka's just like, not really. And then Violet gives him a hug, and she's like, I'm Violet Beauregard, and then he's like, I don't care.
I don't care. Yeah, it's a weird Wonka.
Yes.
But in this one, it was specifically children that could come in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird that he was just off put by every child except for Charlie. He had Charlie pinned from day one.
Right, and I think that's the idea because he knows right away that Charlie's a good kid.
Yeah.
And then I think I said this in the last movie, but I'm like, Augustus he's way worse in this one because there's that moment when they're walking down the hall and he says to Charlie do you want some of my chocolate? And Charlie's like, sure. And he's like, then you should have brought some.
What a poop.
And then Willy Wonka also says at one point, try some of my grass.
Oh.
And then Charlie's like, wait, you can eat the grass? And Willy Wonka's like, everything in this room is edible, including me. But that is called cannibalism and is frowned upon in most societies.
Yes. Doesn't he say eatable, though? Or is that in the Willy Wonka? Eatable.
Oh, he might say eatable. I forget which one says
everything in this room is eatable. Even I am eatable.
But that is called cannibalism.
My children, and that is frowned upon.
That's iconic. That's so funny.
That's great. Love that quote.
And then the way he calls the Oompa Loompas in the original, it's like a flute. And then in this one, he just makes that weird sound with his mouth. And every time, it's so funny. He's like, it's great.
And we have one actor playing all of the Oompa Loompas in this one.
Yes.
And
that's pretty impressive.
So all of their movies, all of their songs are goes by decades. They've got a 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s song.
Yes.
Which I think is fun. I like that. They have it spread out in decades like that.
I do like that. My only problem is I don't like all of the songs.
Also, yes.
I really like the one they do for Veruca. That one's a vibe. It's like a 70s, that one's a vibe. One thing that's actually really fun to do is listen to Veruca singing I Want It Now in the original, and then immediately listening to the Oompa Loompas singing the 70s Veruca song from this one.
Oh,
because they actually go well together.
I wonder how they would go overlapped.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But
do it.
I think in the book the songs are the lyrics of the songs are from this one where they're all different and they're about each individual kid more so.
They have the lyrics in the book.
Mm-hmm. Because in the book they're Augustus Gloop, and that's what they're singing, not in the original.
Okay.
And yeah, like I think my least favorite of all the songs by far is the one for Violet. I just whenever one of their songs just starts, like in this movie, like I'm just like, oh man, this feels weird. Like I feel weird watching this.
Yeah, maybe because it's like a modern day thing where we're not used to musicals, like just happening as like back then. There was like West Side Story and My Fair Lady and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Like all of those were musicals, like epic musicals.
Sound of Music.
It's kind of weird that in 2006, 2005? 2005 that we would just like break into song in like a weird song.
Yeah, it is really
with the
strange.
Oompa Loompas. Like, yeah, it's just like not what we're used to.
Yeah, and like it's funny because like on the one hand I do like that all the songs are different, but like I don't know, like it's like some of them I'm just like, no, I can fast forward. I can fast forward this. And then there's other songs where I'm like, no, I'm vibing with this. This is fine. I don't know, but then like in the original, like I said, like I love all the songs in that movie. So
Yeah.
Um.
But then also Danny Elfman.
Yeah, Danny Elfman. I think he's singing for the Oompa Loompas actually.
Oh, really?
I don't know that for sure. We should double check that. But yeah, because he obviously did the score because
Tim Burton, Danny Elfman,
Michael Keaton, Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I love Danny Elfman, but like,
I do too.
It's hard to follow the classic Willy Wonka.
Yeah, and I think it is Danny Elfman singing it, so that's pretty cool. But it makes sense. Like he's singing for Jack and Nightmare Before Christmas.
Somewhere deep inside of these bones alone.
Yes.
I love that song.
That's great. Whipped cream isn't whipped cream unless it's been whipped with whips. Also, like the hair toffee that make the Oompa Loompas just covered in hair.
Ugh.
It's that kind of grossed me out.
Gross.
And when he's like, "It's the most sensational gum in the whole universe," I'm like, we're getting pretty deep there.
Yeah, like that's pretty far out.
And then when Grandpa Joe's like, "It sounds great," and Veruca's like, "It sounds weird." I just always thought that was kind of funny too.
Sounds weird.
And then yeah, when he's like, "The best kind of prize is a surprise."
Yeah, that's good.
The sheep getting sheared for cotton candy, and Johnny Depp's just like, "I don't want to talk about this room."
PETA will have an argument.
Yes. And then the part that always kind of confused me, you know, when we see his backstory, and then like he says he's gonna leave his dad's house, and then he goes back and his dad's house is gone, and then later when he and Charlie go to his dad's house, it's the only one there. So where did his dad's house go? Do you know what I'm talking about?
He just like rebuilt it.
Like I know that was kind of confused me.
I don't know.
And then during the bit with the squirrels is interesting. It's kind of intense.
Yeah.
And then when Mike goes through the TV, when Charlie grabs the Wonka bar, that's the scene from 2001 when like the apes instead of the monolith, it's the Wonka bar.
Yes.
And obviously they're playing the music from the movie when the bar gets teleported, when they bring the giant chocolate bar out.
Right.
And then they flip through the channels, and Mike is in the shower scene from Psycho.
Yes. Oh, yes. So funny. Classic.
And then Willy Wonka's like, "Don't push my button." And then yeah, we do see what happens to the kids. So
yep.
So what do you think of the kids in this one?
So, I mean, yeah, Augustus is kind of the same, but
worse.
Agreed. He has, worse characteristics in this one. He's a brat. He's mean. He's stupid.
Yeah. Like he takes a bite out of the bar and the ticket's there. Then he's like, "What is this?"
He is gluttonous.
Yes.
like, do each of these characters represent a deadly sin?
I think
so.
so.
He's gluttony, and Veruca is
Pride, maybe?
vain, pride. Violet is... I need to look up a list.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like along those lines. Like, they each are extremely bad in their own way.
Yes.
So Violet, I think her mother really makes it in this movie. Like, she is enabling her. She's like, my child is a star. She's a champion.
Mm-hmm.
She does all these great things. Like, we have to do this, girl. Violet's like, yeah, like, that's my life's work, is to please my mother by being a champion gum chewer. Yeah, honestly, Violet stood out the most to me.
Mm-hmm.
She's a pretty iconic character. Okay.
Yeah.
Veruca Salt, Julia Winter. She looks like a squirrel. Sorry.
Maybe don't leave that in, but that's fine. She looks like a squirrel. Well, she is a bad nut.
She's a bad nut. She has only been in 3 things.
So she's the Charlie Bucket of this movie. She's the Peter Ostrom of this movie. What else has she been in?
Yeah, no, she was in Dolphin Tale 2.
Well, I've seen that.
In 2014. You've seen that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, Dolphin Tale. What's that about?
You ever seen Free Willy?
Oh my god, it has Morgan Freeman?
Yeah. And Harry Connick Jr. And Ashley Judd. And
oh my god.
what's his name?
Gosh.
Chris Christopherson, I think?
Yeah, Chris Christopherson.
Okay, Maddie, have you ever so Dolphin Tale is about these people in this aquarium. It's like this makeshift family, and they all come together to save this dolphin that loses their tail. Hence the title.
Okay, so alright, I'm clicking on Dolphin Tale 1. We've got Morgan Freeman, Ashley Judd,
Yes.
Harry Connick Jr., Nathan Gamble, Chris Christopherson, Cozy Zuvendorf. That's it. Okay. A story centered on the friendship between a boy and a dolphin whose tail was lost in a crab trap.
Wait, I just said that. Wait, did I come through? Did you hear me? Did you hear me say what the fuck?
So Harry Connick Jr. is the main character in the first one?
No, the main character is this other kid. Harry Connick Jr. is the dad that runs the aquarium.
Oh,
the movie's too recent.
Sawyer. The kid's name is Sawyer?
Yeah, Sawyer is not Harry Connick Jr. Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah, he's Nathan Gamble.
Yes.
So Nathan Gamble is obsessed with a dolphin who lost its tail. Oh, okay. So anyway, Veruca Salt from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was in Dolphin Tale 2.
I don't remember that because I've only seen Dolphin Tale 2 once.
She's in that and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That's it.
Yeah. So she is the Peter Ostrom of this movie.
Dang. That's crazy. Like, some people just get, like, picked up and some don't, you know?
Yeah. And some people become veterinarians.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I watched Dolphin Tale. I've seen it. I've seen it before. I've seen it a few times. I remember when that came out. I remember thinking that was a pretty good movie, and I remember watching that with my mom and my sister quite a bit. And I think I've seen the second one only once, and I don't remember anything about the story other than that all the actors are in it again. And I don't know if they ever made a third one. But if they have, I haven't seen it. But if they had made one, then I would watch it. Because, nostalgia.
Yeah, no. No Dolphin Tale 3. Yeah, I watched Free Willy as a kid, but I remember it being devastating, so...
That's the age difference between us. Showing
itself. Yeah.
But yeah, so with the kids in this movie, they're all fun and they're all pretty good. But then like Violet is the standout, and that's partly because it's Anna Sophia Robb, but also like you said, like her mom is like being an enabler, and like Violet's kind of the one that you feel sympathy for in this. At least when I watched it again, because I'm like, like, okay, now she's blue, so she's gonna go on a whole life journey. Like, you know, like her mom is like her mom might not treat her as well because she can't. Well, maybe she can't compete, but she's gonna be blue. So
Yeah, like her mom is gonna have to learn to accept her as she is.
yes, I would watch that. Make that now with Anna Sophia Robb. Make it now.
Where is Anna Sophia Robb? What has she been up to? Is she a veterinarian?
Well, she was in Soul Surfer.
Yeah, but that was like 20 years ago.
Nah, this movie's only like 15 years old, isn't it?
Okay, like 15 years ago, but still.
Let's see. Okay, hang on. That's like the conversation that Tuan and I had about Sam Worthington, where Tuan was like, okay, like who is Sam Worthington really? And I'm like, he's the man on a ledge. Oh, of course, she's in the way back. Sorry, Tuan. Please forgive me.
Oh,
how could I forget?
Tuan.
She's also in. She's been. She has a movie coming out called Rebel Ridge.
Really?
Oh, she's in an episode of Drake and Josh. I did not know that.
Oh my god.
She was on a TV show called Dr. Death for 5 episodes.
Okay.
She has a song with Ed Sheeran called Shivers.
She's in that. She's in that?
Oh, she's in the music video. Sorry.
Oh, cool. Good for her.
Yeah. Let's see, what's she up to? She got married a few months ago.
Oh.
Good for her.
Good for her.
When I was younger, I always got like the names mixed up because in this it's Violet Beauregard, and in Unfortunate Events it's Violet Baudelaire. So whenever I was reading a series of Unfortunate Events,
that is exactly what Noah said. He was like,
yeah.
I was like, yeah, Violet Beauregard, and he's like, oh, the girl from Unfortunate Events. I was like, no, Baudelaire. That's Baudelaire. He's like, but it's Violet still, and I said, yeah.
Yeah. I remember reading Unfortunate Events, and every time they said Violet Baudelaire, I was like, oh yeah, like in Willy Wonka, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, that's not it.
It's funny.
If like Mike TV was named Klaus TV, then that would be really ironic. One thing I do like about the end of the Johnny Depp movie is when, at the last scene, when they're all living in the chocolate factory. I love that. And I also love all the grandparents, like, sitting at the table. Like, they got out of bed and Grandpa Joe's, like, helping, like, to set the table and everything. That's just so wholesome.
Yeah. That's precious.
Mm-hmm.
So, which do you like better?
The original.
I agree.
For me, it's not really a close contest, but I do enjoy both movies. If we're getting into,
it's like they're very different, you know. So you can like both.
Yeah, they're very different. Like even comparing Gene Wilder and Johnny Depp is kind of strange because what they're doing with the role is so different, you know.
Yeah, completely.
For me, I prefer Gene Wilder, but like that's beside the point. Like there's things I prefer, like I prefer some of the set designs in the new one versus the old one, but like some of the casting in the old one I like better. You know, the old one has the better songs and everything. So, without getting too much into it.
Yeah, it's like I enjoy the authenticity of the set design in the first one rather than the CGI of the second one.
Yes, exactly. Because the old one has like you said, like all the beautiful houses that match and like everything's done practically, and you know.
Yeah, it's like they hired a production design person to be like, he was like the greatest, and he envisioned all of this and made it work and everything. So he did a great job doing all of that, like the factory and the workshop and the chocolate room and everything. Like it was just totally magical. I feel more value. I don't want to say that. I guess I appreciate special effects more than VFX.
Yes, I do too.
But I know that VFX artists work so hard to create what they do,
and they don't get paid
and
enough.
I know that is what is happening as
Yes.
of now, and as of 20 years ago, like VFX has completely taken over.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just have some appreciation for people who are crafty and
Yeah.
make things from their handiwork and everything. So
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, it's a different type of appreciation.
Yes.
The OG Willy Wonka is when they break through the glass ceiling, women's rights, am I right?
What?
Iconic.
Is that a reference to something?
You know, like the glass ceiling that women have to break through to earn more or as equal as men do in their own profession. It's like breaking the glass ceiling. That's what the term is called.
Okay.
And so it's like you can see what you can reach and what you can overcome, but you can't break through it because you're a woman, you know? So it's like, I think it's kind of
Okay.
metaphoric, like, even though none of the characters are women.
No, because the female
but
characters...
honestly, like, whenever I think of the glass ceiling, I think of the Willy Wonka scene.
Right.
And the glass elevator breaking through the glass ceiling and achieving everything, you know?
Yes. Yeah,
That's what I think of.
That's cool. Because of course all the female characters either got incinerated or exploded in this movie. So.
Mm-hmm.
Except in Your Story, where Veruca is still alive and becomes a better person.
Yeah.
Unless you were going to make it a fall into, if it wasn't going to be a redemption story, it was going to be a fall into deeper despair type of story.
Oh.
I'd go for the redemption route, but anyway, do you have anything else about either of the Wonkas, or would you like to jump into what we watched? I will begin talking about what I watched, so that you can pull up your. That way you can do that.
Go for it.
So, RRR is back in theaters, and I want to go see it again. But in the meantime,
is it really?
Yes,
it's back in theaters.
It's back in theaters.
Ah.
And Tuin and I watched Iga, which is another movie from this director.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. The plot of the movie is this guy, and actually, you know, I don't want to say anything. Just go in blind. Unless Maddie, you want to know, I'll tell you. But I don't want to.
Nope. No, that's fine.
Yeah. Go in knowing nothing, because if you don't know the twists and turns this movie goes on, you will have a really great time.
Oh, okay.
Don't look up any. It's on Netflix, but like, don't read the Netflix synopsis. Just start the movie. Just go right in. Take the most direct route.
Okay.
And then I also watched. There is a the Toei Spider-Man series from Japan from the 70s that was the inspiration. Well, part of what led to Power Rangers. Because it's a Japanese show about Spider-Man fighting giant robots.
Oh.
Which led to Super Sentai, which led to Power Rangers. And I watched the short movie they made for that, and it is incredible.
Oh.
So it's like a giant Spider-Man fighting a Megazord type monster. And then I watched Glass Onion, which was fantastic.
Oh, yes. We did too.
And then I also watched this 80s movie called Krull, like I said, which also features a young Liam Neeson and also Charlie's teacher from the 1971 Willy Wonka. It's like an 80s like fantasy movie. It's like a guy has to go save the princess from this giant monster, and there's like lasers and stuff. And the guy who is in the guy who plays Thufir Hawat in 1984 Dune is also in it. He's got like he's the Mentat. He's got like the weird hairstyle in that movie.
Yeah.
So he's in it, and he's like the mentor type character, and he's got this like really like he's got this like classy voice, and he like does the narration and stuff. It's really cool.
That's cool.
It's a trip of a movie, but I really enjoyed it. Other I'd heard for many years that it was just kind of like a cheesy '80s movie, and it wasn't that great. And then I watched it, and I'm like, I don't know what the deal is, but this is awesome. And then Emily and I finally got to see the next SAO movie in theaters, and it was amazing. I can't use all my words to describe it because we're talking about children's films, but it was really amazing.
That's great. I'm glad you liked it.
Yes. And then I also...
Is that like the final movie?
No. It's the second movie chronologically. Because the new movies they're making, they take place at the beginning of the timeline. So the first one she and I saw together, that's like you can watch that first, and then you would watch this new movie, and then you would watch the anime, like the seasons.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it was really cool. It was amazing. I wish I could have. Since I was traveling, I wasn't able to see it in theaters twice, and now I don't want. I really would rather not wait until it comes on streaming because anime takes a while to get to streaming. But so I wish I could have seen it again. But it was amazing to see it one time in theaters because we didn't know if that was going to happen, and we had planned that for like over a year. So
yeah, that's awesome.
And then I have two more things. I also saw Blue's Clues: No Way Home, which was delightful.
I'm sorry. What?
I also saw. Okay, it's not called Blue's Clues: No Way Home, but they put out a new Blue's Clues movie, and it's the new host. His name's Josh. Him and Blue go to New York, and Steve and Joe are also in the movie. So it's been it's been coined as Blue's Clues: No Way Home because of Spider-Man: No Way Home, and the movie was absolutely delightful. I will send you my review of it because I wrote a really long, passionate review about it.
Yes.
And there's a moment when Steve looks at Steve's introduction scene. He comes in, he looks into the camera, and he's like, "Hey, it's you! Oh, you've gotten so big! It's so great to see you!" And I legit felt so many emotions. and then later when Joe shows up, he's like, "Hey, it's great to see you!" And I'm like, "Joe." And I'll just put my review in the chat so you can. I want you. You gotta. It's And then the last thing I watched was this anime called Neon Genesis Evangelion, and I had seen, and it's one of the most famous anime series of all time, and I'd heard about it for many years, and I started watching it, and for the first few episodes, I was like casually observing, like I wasn't fully invested, but I was like, I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then by the ending, I just felt so moved, and I felt like it's like one of the most powerful and deeply resonant and emotional things I've ever seen. And then there's a finale movie called The End of Evangelion, and I've watched it twice in like 2 days, and it's one of the greatest pieces of art I've ever seen in my life. I felt so seen, heard, and felt by this series. I felt like I hadn't felt this validated by a movie since watching Fire Walk with Me for the first time.
Whoa.
It hit a lot of deep emotions, and I felt this sense of cathartic, this film was made for me kind of thing, even though obviously it wasn't. You know what I mean? Just when you see a movie and you resonate with it so deeply.
Yeah.
Obviously there's things about the characters that I haven't experienced or don't I can't relate to, but a lot of it is the characters going through difficult times and dealing with self-doubt and depression and anxiety, and how to deal with all of that, and how to make connections with other people. And it's just and it starts off and it's these teenagers fighting in giant robots, and then it ends up being the most existential shit you've ever seen, and it's just amazing. It just impacted me so deeply. They did 4 other movies later down the line as like a remake readaptation kind of thing, and I really want to watch those also. But the end of Evangelion, I watched it, like I said, I watched it like twice in the span of like 2 days, and like immediately I'm just like, I feel like it's got beautiful animation, obviously, but like just the story and the characters and just what happens in it is just, it's literally about just like the characters be like feeling like too depressed to do what they need to do, and also going through a lot of like self-worth stuff, like I said, and it's kind of like this like cathartic hug of depression in a way, like where where it's just like, hey, like I see you, I feel you, like things are going to be better, and like there's so many scenes in that movie that are just so impactful, and like there's like this one sequence that's just like one of the most beautifully depressing things I've ever seen, and it's just so amazing. Wow. So yeah, new instant favorite, one of my favorite films instantly. Like,
nice.
I'm gonna get the whole series on Blu-ray at some point. If you ever want to see depression portrayed as beautiful art, watch that movie and that series, because like there's moments where I cried because I was like, this is like the coolest thing I've ever seen, and also there's moments where I'm like, this is like the most like emotional thing ever, but like in an emotionally cleansing kind of way.
Yeah.
And then there's some really messed up stuff too.
We love that.
So I've been wanting to write a review of that movie, but I've been struggling with what words to say, so that's the best I can do at this point. Anyway, yeah, so 2 instant 5-star movies, the SAO Scherzo of Deep Night and The End of Evangelion.
Nice.
So,
do you know when the next one's coming out?
The next SAO movie, they have another one but I don't know if it's this year or next year. But I think the next movie is going to be later in the timeline, but they haven't revealed much about it, except that another movie is being made.
Oh, okay. Well,
so yeah.
That's good, I guess.
Like, I just felt comforted in my depression watching that movie.
Yeah, that's great.
Anyway, what did you watch?
We watched the whole Crocodile Dundee series.
Yes!
So...
Yes!
We watched Crocodile Dundee from 1986, Crocodile Dundee
Classic.
from 1988, and Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles in 2001.
It was made that late? I thought it was like the 90s.
Nope, 2001. Yep, it was like a lot later. I didn't like any of them really.
But you watched all of them.
They were so stupid. The first one, it was like what is happening? Okay, like this guy, he's Australian, haha. He goes to New York City, haha. He has cultural differences, haha. That's it. It was even like Elf, you know, like when Buddy the Elf goes to NYC and like goes on the escalator. It's like that exact same thing.
Yeah, it's just that for 90 minutes.
Crocodile Dundee 2 was better. It was the stakes were higher.
Yeah.
It had like drug lords and like traveling but it was just slow, like still throughout the whole thing. Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles. I didn't even write a review. I just put half a star.
This is why we're friends.
Not even worth it.
This is why we're friends, because you gave Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles a half star.
Yeah. No. So
wait, I thought I saw. So they haven't made a 4th one, have they?
No.
Because then I thought I saw. Let me look this up, because I thought you can keep talking. I just thought I saw something in Walmart one time, and I'm like, "There's Crocodile Dundee 4."
Oh my god, they're Better not be, because all of them are terrible. I watched the classic Some Like It Hot with Marilyn Monroe in 1959. That was actually really good. It was funny, wholesome, entertaining. It was kind of long.
I've always wanted to see that. It's always been in my peripheral of movies to watch.
It was good. It was cute. I think you'd like it, yeah.
Oh, here it is. So the other Crocodile Dundee movie from 2020 is called The Very Excellent Mr. Dundee. It's about the actor Paul Hogan playing himself, because it's about him playing himself.
Oh.
And it's the final film. Oh, not such a fun fact, but it was the final film Olivia Newton-John starred in before she died.
Oh, really?
As Chevy Chase is in it, John Cleese is in it, Wayne Knight is in it, Reginald VelJohnson's in it. So, Interesting. So I saw that in Walmart, and I'm like, "There's Crocodile Dundee 4," but it's kind of like Bruce Campbell in My Name Is Bruce, where it's like it's about him playing himself about the success of other movies, you know?
Yeah.
I have not seen Crocodile Dundee 3, but I've seen the first two, but I couldn't tell you anything about them except for what you just said.
They are pointless.
Maybe those are ones I won't rewatch.
Well, it's sad because, like, I think the actress in all of them did a really good job, and the actor too. What's his name?
Paul Hogan.
Paul Hogan. They were great. Why didn't they go anywhere? I don't know. It's crazy. Like they were good. Okay, let me tell you about this film called Disco Pigs.
What?
Oh my god. From 2001 with Cillian Murphy.
Okay.
And this other Irish girl. Okay, so it's like kind of a love story, kind of a toxic relationship story.
Okay.
Between these two adolescents who were born on the same day. They have been inseparable since, and they're basically like soulmates, but to a toxic degree. Like, if one of them strays from the path of them being soulmates, the other one like goes in and messes stuff up. So like Cillian Murphy, I think, is the craziest one in this. And it's about him and this other girl who they have these houses that are right next to each other, and they dig a hole through the middle so they can hold hands through the wall while they go to sleep. It's like cute, but like what?
Why don't they just live in the same house? How old are they?
They're like high school age, but it's like a duplex or like an apartment.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Cillian Murphy just goes crazy, like obsessive, jealous, and kills this guy that the other girl is dancing with. And it is, I don't know if it's worth the watch, but I don't know. I enjoyed watching it, but I only gave it 1.5 stars. Like, it was a weird movie, but what I watched it on Peacock, I think. No, Tubi. Oh my god, I went in such a rabbit hole on Tubi. I have all these films favorited on Tubi that I need to watch. I'm very excited to watch all these on Tubi for free.
There's a movie on Tubi called Titanic 666.
Yeah, I'm curious.
So Disco Pigs, huh?
Okay, so then we also went into a rabbit hole with Puss in Boots. And Noah was like, I remember watching this Puss in Boots movie when I was a kid, and it was a live action thing. Christopher Walken.
I know where you're going.
Do you know this?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Do you know this movie?
Yeah. I thought that movie was going to be amazing.
Gosh, yes, I see on Letterboxd now that you've watched it.
I thought it was going to be amazing. I was so let down.
Okay, so Christopher Walken It's about this whole there's this whole fairy tale around Puss in Boots, right? So it's like
Yes.
the guy who has to fight for his right to marry a princess, or also like he's a poor man who's the son of this man who's also poor, who has to do this in order to marry rich or whatever.
Right.
So
right.
So this one, yeah, that's it. He's a poor miller's son, wants to bring a title of wealth and marriage for his owner. But he's a cat. He's a cat. Actually a cat. And some of them, he's a human who turns into a cat, who turns into a human. But this Puss in Boots 1988 with Christopher Walken, he is just a cat who wants to bring wealth upon his owner. Then he tries on this pair of boots who turns him into a human form.
Yeah.
And can marry into the family that gives him wealth. No, I only watched maybe 20 minutes and I could not take it.
Me
I
too.
couldn't take it.
Me too.
It was
Same.
bad. So bad.
It was really. I was expecting a 5-star masterpiece, and instead I turned it off after 20 minutes.
I know. I was like, this is what I want.
This is everything I want in a movie.
Right. But then no, it totally was bad.
It was such a bummer.
Yeah. Sad.
I think Puss in Boots, the new Puss in Boots, is going to be better. It would be better, from what I've heard.
Have you seen it yet?
No.
Me either.
I've seen the new awful DreamWorks logo, though. So you know the DreamWorks logo. Very simple, very classy, very iconic.
There's a new one?
There's a new one, and instead of that, it's just going through like how so you know how they had the like let's watch a Disney Channel movie, and then they changed it, and it was just like going through all the different movies. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like that, but for DreamWorks, where they just go through all the movies and they just end it as like DreamWorks, and it's like that's so much worse. Why would you change it? You change something iconic into something really dumb.
It's like they feel the need to change, but it's like really no. Like MGM. MGM has been the same for 70, 80, 100, 100 years.
Yeah,
like
it's still the same. I think MGM also distributed the Christopher Walken movie, so it all connects.
Oh my goodness.
Next week is very special. It is episode 60. And we are going back to not our Lynchian roots, but we are going back to our roots. And we are going to be watching the greatest and most iconic trilogy of all time.
Yes.
We're going to be rewatching all the movies and coming on and talking about them. Basically letting the world in on this inside joke that we've had for like 3 years.
Or more.
More
than that.
More than
like
that.
5 years,
5 years.
6 years.
Yeah. We're going to be watching the trilogy. We don't really have a name for it, do we?
We've just been calling it the Lucy trilogy.
Yes. We're going to be watching the Lucy trilogy.
The Lucy trilogy.
I guess, should we say what the movies are so people know, or should we just not?
Yeah, we can say them.
All right.
So it starts with The Boy Who Could Fly goes to what's it called?
The Great Outdoors. It continues with The Great Outdoors.
I was like, The Great Family Vacation.
The Great Little Vampire.
Yeah. And then finishes with Cheetah. So, you can find the connection within. If you can find the connection within all of those three, let us know. We have a story to tell. That is the trilogy.
We do have a story to tell. And there actually is a linear narrative. It's not just returning characters. So don't be like, oh yeah, it's just because of this reason. No, there's actually a linear narrative between the three films.
Right.
If you can figure out this impossible story, or if you come up with something better, let us know.
Email us.
Yes, email us at filmtherapypodcast@gmail.com.
Comment on our post at Film Therapy Podcast on Instagram.
And subscribe to our YouTube page, Film Therapy Podcast on YouTube.
Subscribe on Spotify, Google Play, YouTube,
Apple
Podcasts, all that.
And apparently CarMax sponsors us, so CarMax, please send us some money.
CarMax, if you're going to claim that you sponsor us, send us some checks, okay?
Yeah, we appreciate your sponsorship. This video is brought to you by CarMax.
At least it's not Liberty Mutual.
Go home and watch the Lucy trilogy, and be sure to eat some chocolate.
Yes.
We're gonna go to the chocolate factory, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the trilogy. So
I'm so excited.
I am too. I think we mentioned this in episode 1, so all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah.